The holidays are an opportunity to spend time with family, but it's also a chance to check in on senior members of the family. Fondation Age, an organization that helps seniors, has launched a free online training course to help people spot health issues in older family members. Joining us now is Dr. Stéphane Lemire, a geriatrician and president of Fondation Age. So, Dr. Lemire, you're inviting people to become what's called sentinels, essentially kind of like a watchdog to look over seniors. What sort of skills can people pick up through this training?
Well, actually, the most important skill people could get from this training is actually to realize that everything that happens during aging is not necessarily caused by aging. So, what we teach the Sentinel is to be aware to look out for things like loss of mobility, loss of appetite, maybe confusion, difficulty hearing, and just don't start with the premise that it's just normal aging and try to do something about it. Not necessarily over the Christmas turkey, but maybe later on, early next year.
You mentioned some of those symptoms, some of those signs. What are some examples of aging that people might think are normal but actually should be dealt with rather quickly?
Yeah. So when people age, they tend to associate anything that happens with aging. However, most of the time, aging should allow you to stay relatively independent, autonomous for quite a long time. Until your 90s, most people that age normally would essentially might maybe need some mobility aid with a walker, but they should stay relatively sharp, have they don't lose their mind usually when they age appropriately. So we should be looking out for trouble with memory, trouble with attention, concentration. Of course, losing keys is not a big issue, but let's say you go to a Christmas party and your mother or aunt did her usual meal and it's not quite the same, it tastes bland, or she mixed up the sugar with the salt or any other variant on that, would be signs that something is not right. Same thing for mobility, for nutrition. Usually people might have a little less appetite, but they should be able to eat enough so they stay healthy and shape, have great muscles, strength, etc. And so we need to be aware of all these little signs that might happen. A big one is usually about continence. A lot of elderly female, especially because they had pregnancies in the past, they might have issues with bladder continence. And often people say, oh, it's not nice aging with incontinence, but sometimes we can do something about it. We can retrain the bladder. So it's very important to be aware that something is not always caused by aging itself, and that we can do many actions to help the person enjoy their quality of life, etc.
The holidays are busy. Sometimes people have a lot going on and they might make a mistake. They might slip up on something. So how does someone decide, well, that was an honest mistake, or no, that's a sign that something is wrong, potentially seriously wrong?
Well, the Sentinel training is not about making a diagnosis or be in a position to make these decisions. The training itself is about being aware that there might be issues that are not just aging. And so this is the first step that we train the Sentinels about. We also train them to be to refrain themselves. We don't want them to be too much of a watchdog. We want them to essentially stop thinking that everything's normal and be aware that it might not be normal aging. And in that sense, they'll be better able to decide how to help the person. And a big part of the Sentinel training is about knowing your limits, knowing how to communicate efficiently with the person that has the problem. And often what people fear with aging is the loss of independence, or maybe be forced to get out of their house. So they shouldn't be afraid of that much. The Sentinel's role is to help them realize that a lot can be done to regain some independence, stop the decline of independence, And so that's what the training is all about.
Dr. Stéphane Lemire, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot.